Hello guys, what's up? The Codeholic is here and welcome to my channel. In this video we're gonna see how to build authentication using Deno with JWT Token. We're gonna create three endpoints: login, guest, and auth. We cannot make request on the auth endpoint if we don't specify correct JWT token in headers. The guest endpoint is free and we can access without authentication. It returns the output whatever we return. If we want to access to the auth endpoint, we need to make first request using method post, pass the username and password, correct username and password obviously, get the JWT token. We need to take this token and pass in the headers right here as a bearer token, and then when we make request, it returns the response. So it's very simple. We have just demonstrated three endpoints, but the idea is that we're going to learn how to build applications in Deno which needs authentication. The source code created in this video is available on the following link, and you can find the link in the description as well. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and let's start. Here I have created an interface of user with ID, username and password, and array of users, and I only have two users, Brad and Max. So in this video I want to fully focus on authentication implementation, so I'm not going to spend time on saving the users in the database, but in real-world applications this array, the users array, probably will come from the database, and we need to just apply our code to the users which will be in the database. Okay, so now I'm going to create server.ts file and start building the REST API. So first of all, I need to import application and router from the awk. So I'm going to copy and paste the code of the importing application router. Then I need to create an instance of router. Okay, then I'm going to configure some routes on this router. I'm going to configure three routes basically. So whenever post request is made on login, we need to call the following callback function. So right here, I'm going to write an arrow function, then I'm going to move this into separate file. Okay, so this one accepts right here a context. Okay, so I can actually destructure this context and take out request and response, but then I need to specify right here that this request and response object is a type of request, which is any, and response, which is any as well. Okay, however, I prefer not to do this, and I'm gonna write here context normally, which I'm gonna specify it has a type of context. Okay, just like this. And I'm going to import context right here. Basically, VS Code automatically imported context right here. Okay, so I have the context, and the context has response, and I can specify response body equals, for example, success. Okay, then I'm going to specify another route get on guest URL, and this one will have also context right there, and just I'm going to write response equals to guest success, okay, to make sure that it's working. What's going on right here? Response body equals, and another one will be auth. So on this auth endpoint, we won't be able to access unless we are authenticated. Okay, excellent. So auth success, guest success. After this, I'm going to create an instance of application. Const app equals new application. I'm going to tell the application to use the routes I just created. App use router routes. I'm going to also tell the application to allow some methods from the router. Okay, app use router allowed methods. Okay, and after this I need to start listening to the application. App listen. I'm going to specify the port to be 8000 in my case, and I'm going to also print the console log statement that it started listening. Started on port 8000. All right, let's open terminal now, and I'm going to start the server by running deno run --allow net server.ts. Let's wait until this compiles into JavaScript and executes this, and right here we see that server is up and running. Let's open now Postman, and I'm going to make a request on HTTP localhost on port 8000/login. Okay, let's make a request using post. We're going to also pass some data in the body. I'm going to go to row JSON, and right here I'm going to specify username to be bread and password to be bread as well. So let's make request and have a look in the output. We see success right here, which is cool, and the server is up and running, so everything looks good. Now I need to move these files into separate, functions into separate routes file and implement the actual login. Okay, so I'm going to create routes.ts. I don't like generally writing the whole logic in the main server.ts, so I like the logic separation, so I'm going to move these files there. So take out the first one, and that will be export const login equals to this one, and I'm going to do the same things for others. Export const guest equals this one, and export const auth equals my mistake, I did it for auth, but anyway, I'm going to paste this right here, so this will be just guest. Okay, so then I need to import context right here, so I'm going to copy the following line, remove context from here, move this, copy this line into routes.ts, and remove the application and router. I just need context right here. Okay, so context has type of context. Then right here I need to specify the same thing. Context has type of context, and I need to put this in parentheses obviously, and do the same thing right here. Context has type of context. Awesome. So I have these three URLs in separate file, and now I'm going to import these functions. Import login, auth, and guest from routes.ts. I need to specify extension as well. So right here, I'm going to specify login. Right in the guest, I'm going to specify a function guest. In the auth, I'm going to specify a function auth. Let's move on now into login and implement the actual login functionality. First of all, I need to take out the data which was sent from the request. Okay. So for this, I'm going to access to a request. I'm going to delete this response body, and context has a request, and the request has method body, and this returns a promise. So I need to put await right here in front of this, and this await context request body will return an object, and the object will have their value. So I'm going to basically destructure this and take out the value out of this. Okay, and const value equals this, and then I'm going to just print the value right here. Okay, so value, because I'm using await right here, I need to specify async, and let's actually save this and restart the server. I want to see the sent data from the client, from the Postman. Okay, so the server is running. Let's go to the Postman, hit the send button right here. We see not found actually, so let's go to the, yeah, I know the reason. So not found is because we don't return any response from here, but the thing is that we get value right here, username bread, password bread, which is awesome. Now I need to actually search for the user in this users array. Okay, so I need to import these users right here. Import. Actually, I can start writing these users, and the VS Code will automatically import these for me. Okay, so for example, users, hit the enter, and it created this import. Users for each. I'm going to write normal loop for const user of users, because I want to break this loop. Okay, so if value username, the value basically is this one which comes from the post. If value username equals to user.username and value.password equals to user.password, I know that this is the user which needs to be authenticated. Again, on a real application, we generally don't write this. We don't have also plain passwords saved somewhere in the database. Just in this video, I'm focusing on the authentication, okay? So then in this case, we know that the user is authenticated. So I actually need to create the JWT token and send this to the user, okay? So when this happens, I'm going to create right here a payload, and for this JWT token I'm going to basically use the following package. Let me show this to you. Okay, so let's go to the browser and let's go to deno.land, go to the third-party modules, and right here we have a package JWT. Okay, so this one is a minimalistic JSON Web Token authentication package. And if we scroll down right here, we see that we need to have key, of course. If you don't know how JWT basically works, I encourage you to check it out on YouTube. There are a lot of very great videos, like Web Dev Simplified has, for example, a great video on this. So we have a key right here, payload and header. So we need all of these three in order to be able to make JWT token. Okay, so I'm going to copy this header. Okay, actually let me copy all of them, and I'm going to modify this. Okay, so I need key obviously to be some my secret, so some random secret key for sure. Then we have this payload, which is an object. It has type of payload, and let me import this payload from this URL as well. Okay, we need all these things right here. Okay, so we have the payload. This issuer will be something I need to basically describe right here. I'm going to do this at the moment. The header has type of JWT. We have the algorithm HS256 and the type is JWT token. So I'm going to take out this payload and put this in the if statement. Okay, so if the username and password matched, this will be the payload, and in the issuer I'm going to specify the user.username. So this is the issuer, and the expiration date right now is set to 1 minute. So I'm going to set this into 1 hour. You can set whatever you want. This is just for demonstration. Okay, after 1 minute, let's leave it actually 1 minute. We can see that it actually expires after 1 minute. Okay, so 60,000 is just 1 minute. Okay, then we have right here payload, and I'm going to call right here method make JWT token. Okay, this method accepts an object, and we need to specify key, which we described at the very top, this key. We need to specify also header, and we need to specify payload. We have all these three values, okay? And finally, this returns JWT token string, okay? So I'm going to basically do like this. So const JWT equals this one, okay? And if this happens, if JWT token actually exists, I'm gonna set the response context, response status to be 200, and context response body to be some kind of object where we have the user ID, we will have the username, user.username, and we will have JWT token, which will be the JWT token we just created. Okay, so if the JWT token doesn't exist, for some reason it didn't work, we can show some internal server error, I don't know, 500 status code or something like this. Okay, so right here in the else statement, the status to be 500, and inside the response we can just specify message to be internal server error. Okay, so we are actually passing the authentication to the user, and we are returning everything okay. And in this if statement, basically, if this happens, so if either we returned 200 or 500, at the very bottom I'm gonna hit the return, which will of course stop the for loop and return from this function. However, if the username and password was incorrect, and if this was not satisfied, at the end of this for loop, basically out of this for loop, okay, I'm going to write context response status to be 422 status code. This means that the validation was failed. Okay, and the context response body needs to be some sort of object, and the message of this object will be invalid username or password. Okay, so let's save this actually and restart the server and have a look in the browser what we get when we send the username and password. Okay, so server started. Let's go to the Postman, hit the send button, and let's scroll down right here and we see the response. Okay, status 200. Okay, we have ID, username, and JWT token. Awesome. Now we need to actually implement the accessing using this JWT token to the guest and auth URLs. So I'm going to duplicate this, and right here I need to make request on guest using get. Okay, and we have the guest success. However, I'm also able to make request on this auth, and I see the auth success. I need to change this. Okay, so for this, I'm going to specify in this server where I have this guest, I need to specify auth middleware. Okay, right here. So we can specify more than one function right here. I specify guest. I'm sorry, I need to do this in auth. My mistake. So in the auth, I specify both functions, auth middleware and auth. So if auth middleware doesn't stop, if it continues, then the auth will be satisfied. So I just need to create this auth middleware, which has the absolutely same template what the auth has. So it accepts right here context. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file, call it auth middleware.ts file. I'm going to create constant auth middleware equals to a function which has context to be context. Basically, VS Code right now imports this from a local cached version of this. So I'm going to change this at the moment. So right here we have this context, and I'm going to print actually this context. This function, excuse me, accepts a second argument right here as well, which is next, which is a function which needs to be called if you want to proceed and if you want the second function, this auth function, to be called as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to the auth middleware, and right here I have this next. So I'm going to print something right here, middleware, just like this, and I'm going to call this next. Okay, this next basically returns a promise. We can type await in front of this. Just we need to make this function asynchronous, of course. So we have this. Okay, nice. Let's go to the server and import this middleware. Import. Actually, I need to export this first. Export default auth middleware. Okay, awesome. Let's close the left side. Let's go to the server again. Now I need to import this auth middleware from auth middleware .ts. Awesome. So I have this function right now. Now I'm going to stop the server and start it again. I have some sort of error. Let's have a look. That's the case. Okay, let's go to the auth middleware. I closed it mistakenly. So let's go to the auth middleware right here. I'm importing something from local, as I mentioned. So I need to import this context from the Oak framework. So let's go to the rows right here, and I'm importing this context from here. So I need to copy this line, go to the auth middleware, and paste right here. Looks good. So now let's open terminal again and start the server. Okay, we have some error. The next. Okay, because we are using TypeScript, we didn't specify what is this next. So I'm going to basically specify that next is any. Okay, any type of object. Okay, and we have some error right here. Arrow function is expected. Okay, I made a lot of small mistakes. That happens. Okay, let's start the server. Let's wait. So we have the server up and running. Let's go now to Postman and make request on this auth. Okay, I made request. I see this auth success, and let's have a look in the terminal, and I see right here middleware. So this proves that this function is actually called, and because we called this next, the auth was also called and we see the auth success. If I call right here guest and send this, we don't see another middleware in the console because in the routes in the server, basically, we didn't specify this auth middleware right here. Okay, so let's actually implement this auth middleware. Okay, so first of all, from the Postman, when I try to access to the auth, I need to actually pass the authorization token. Okay, so right here I have this JWT token. I need to copy this, go to this auth, and in the auth I'm going to choose the bearer token, and right here I'm going to paste this token and send this. Okay, then in the backend, in the Deno, I'm going to basically take this token and validate if it's valid JWT token. So let's go to the middleware right here, and I want to access the headers. Okay, so context has request and request has headers, and this is an instance of the headers class. So I can basically specify right here const headers equals to headers, and I can specify also type. It has type of headers. Okay, so it's a normal headers. Okay, and then I can tell these headers to get specific header. Okay, and I want to get authorization header. Okay, so and this will be bearer space something. If I go to the headers right here, we have some hidden headers. So let's expand this. Right here I have this authorization header which has bearer space something. So I need to take this. This will be const authorization equals to this one. Okay, so if for some reason this authorization was not received, was not sent, if the user didn't send, then we're gonna return context response status to be 401. Okay, and I'm gonna immediately return right here, don't continue. Okay, and based on the status, the user can understand that he is not authorized. Okay, after this, I'm going to take out the actual JWT token by taking the authorization token and splitting these using space and taking the last segment, the second segment, which will be this actual token. Okay, awesome. So then I have JWT token right here, and I'm going to check again if this JWT token doesn't exist. I'm going to return 401 again right here as well. However, if the JWT token exists, then I need to call the method validate JWT token. Okay, I need to import this function, so I'm going to go to the JWT token documentation, and right here we have this validate JWT. So I'm going to copy this import statement and put this at the very bottom, and I'm going to call this validate JWT token, okay, which accepts JWT string and the key based on which we encrypted this. Okay, so we have this key in the server. No, in the routes. I think in the routes right here we have this key. So I need to access this key in the auth middleware as well. So again, in real world applications, we generally don't commit and push this key. So I really recommend that you don't ever do this. Commit your key and push. Don't ever do this. So generally we have this key in environment variables in a file which is ignored. So right here, I'm going to create a normal key TS file. Okay. And I'm going to take this key and paste right here, and I'm going to export also from here as well. Export default key. Again, on the production applications, on the real world applications, we should have this key in an environment variables in a file which is ignored. Then I'm going to import this key in the rows. Okay, import key from key.ts. Okay, and I need to import this in the auth middleware as well, right here, because I need to pass this key right here. Okay, let me call up the left side, and then when I pass the JWT token and key, if it was unable to like decrypt this JWT token, it throws an error. I want to specify that don't throw basically an error, so it has an object as a third argument, and the object is throwing, which one is also described in the documentation, I think. So right here we have is throwing equals false. So false right here, and this one returns a promise. Basically, I need to put await in front of this, okay? So if this one successfully decrypted the received JWT token with this key, then the if will be satisfied. If it was not able to decrypt, then it will simply return null and if won't be satisfied. Okay, so if this happened and if it's decrypted the key, I'm going to take out this await next and put this inside the if, just like this, and return from here. Okay, in other case, if the if was not satisfied, again, I'm going to return status code with 401, and the response body can be with some message invalid JWT token. Okay, so that should be context.response. My mistake, context.response. So let's save this. Let's save the roles as well. Let's open the server and restart this. Let's have a look. Okay, we have some error right here. Another accept task is going on. Okay, so let's see what's going on right here. So on the server, we are importing this auth middleware and passing right here. This auth middleware is a normal function. Then in the roles, so we have everything. It looks good. We're exporting default key. We're importing this in the roles, and in the auth middleware, we have this key. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, started on port 8000. Let's open Postman and hit this send button right here. Let's close these headers and scroll down. We have this invalid JWT token. Okay, let's see what's the actual reason. So let's make post again on the login. Take this token, maybe we didn't pass it correctly. Then go to this auth, and in the headers right here, I'm going to pass this token. Okay, send. And we see this auth success. So this proves that it works fine. I think we received this error invalid JWT token probably because 1 minute was passed. Remember, when we generated this JWT token, we gave right here 1 minute lifetime. Okay, after 1 minute, basically, even this token will expire. So I just keep clicking next, and it returns this auth success. But after 1 minute, it simply returns this invalid token. So again, let's go to the auth middleware and observe this. So authorization token exists, so this won't be satisfied in this case. Okay, so the JWT token was taken, so this if won't be satisfied as well. However, this validate JWT token will return null because the token is basically expired. Okay, so let's click this send again. Let's wait a couple of more seconds. I think 1 minute will be passed very soon, and then we will see this code basically will be executed, and we will see this invalid JWT token. Click this next, and right here we see this invalid JWT token, and we won't be able basically to make requests using this token. We need to again sign in, take this token, pass right here in the headers, and hit the send button, and right here we see this auth success. However, in the guest URL, we basically don't need any auth token. And using this approach, if you go to the roles, using this approach, excuse me, let's go to the server. Right here we can specify as many URLs with this auth middleware as we want. Okay, and this looks awesome. Alright, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you liked it. If so, definitely hit the like and subscribe buttons and help me by sharing this video. And provide a nice comment if you like it. And also let me know in the comment section what you think. Okay, enough talking. Thanks for watching and see you in the next time.